Hopefully you've had a chance to be looking at our new website. I hope you had a chance to, if you haven't seen it, we're super excited about that. As we're going to talk about, the campaigns, obviously, and basically Bobby and I, and Bobby's not with us. He's actually the tech guy and really kind of the instrumental thinker behind how to kind of take our idea and spread it across the country and hopefully the globe. And we call it scaling up. But the website, our new website, is really designed to do that. And we'll be looking at the website tonight. You'll see we'll actually use the website tonight, but in the future, it'll be all the students will be, and the faculty will actually be uploading stuff. So we'll all be able to, and so instead of not just seeing it at the end of the semester, like we'll see it now, we'll see it throughout the whole semester. As the semester develops, folks will be putting their flyers, their demands, and their projects. So we'll get a real kind of an eye into all the campaigns. So you'll know, and I'm speaking kind of the faculty now, and the staff will know what's going on all over the country kind of in real time. And I think that'll be a game changer for us. So, and then of course we'll meet every end of the semester and do this, but we'll have that. So let's go ahead and start. It's 5:05. Welcome everybody. I'm Scott Myers-Lipton. I am just a recently retired professor at San Jose State University. My job really is to kind of hold a space really for the students to speak about their campaigns. And I want to show you what we're going to use is, and I'll put it here, and I'll kind of have it up briefly, but I won't have it up long. But the campaigns that we're going to be talking about, we've got, oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. It's right here, and I'm posting it. These are the campaigns that were ongoing. Not all the campaigns, because we had 15 classes being taught using social action. And but the ones that submitted information to us, we posted those, and those are the ones that will be speaking tonight. At the end, if there's some students that who are on and would like to do their organizational wrap, we're more than glad to do that. So we're going to give everyone, as I've talked to the people that are speaking tonight, I'm going to show you this. This is where we're going to be using share the screen. These are the student campaigns we're going to hear from. The first one you see there is Fear, just because it's from a high school. We're going to actually do them at the end because they're kind of outside of our experience being on a high school, but we totally welcome them. There's a high school teacher that went through the institute and is implementing it in that. So we'll hear from Ariel at the end, but we'll go kind of down the list and hear from Jail and then the Chain Breakers. I have the list. You've got 2 minutes to speak. I'll keep track of you like we're in a class, and we're going to do 3 things. We're going to do the organizational wraps, so everyone kind of gets a feel for what people are, what their issue is, and what their demands were. You can also, as they're speaking, like click on that, click on Jail, and then look at their demands and target and their status and see the press they got if you want to do that too. But you don't have to, you can just listen, but they're there for you. At the second part, that'll take like 20, 25 minutes to hear from the students, and we'll give 2 minutes. And I'll give you, if you go over 2 minutes, I'll kind of interrupt you at that 2-minute point. So you've got like 15 more seconds. So kind of wrap it up, even though if it's longer, but hopefully it's tight because it's the 2-minute organizational wrap. And then after we do all the organizational wraps, we'll have some times for the students. And I think we'll do maybe 2 groups because we have maybe 30 folks. We'll try to get into 2 groups, just to have it so it's a little bit more intimate. And then have them respond to like, what was the most, interesting, engaging, what's the most important learning experience they had from this social action experience. And then, you can ask questions, staff and faculty of them as they're talking. And then we'll come back together and maybe have a moment to hear from the faculty about what their experience was teaching that. How's that sound? All right. So we're going to go through this. And the first one is from LaSalle University with Jail, Juvenile Advocacy and Legal Learning. So give us your organizational wrap.
Okay, so my first question is do you want kids in jail? So, and I hope your answer is no. I would be worried if it was a yes. So I'm Ethihia, I'm representing Jail, Juvenile Advocacy and Legal Learning, and we are working on trying to lessen the school to prison pipeline. We have done multiple demonstrations to grab attention from our peers in the Boston area. We did one on campus with the students. We tried to have them sign our petition, and many of them did. And we did one at the Massachusetts State House. And while we were there, one of the biggest radio stations interviewed one of our members. And we have also been in contact with nonprofits as well as legislators. And Boston has one of the highest juvenile crime rates out of any city in Massachusetts. So that's why we're trying to focus in on Boston. And our solution is that we want more civics education in schools about Miranda rights and just rights in general, so youth know what to do if they're ever caught in a situation that could potentially get them in trouble and get them put to jail. And we are trying to do that by trying to get an outside section on a bill changed so we could get that education put in the schooling system. And my question is, would you be willing to sign our petition? We are continuing jail even though our semester is over. We're trying to get it put into a club. So we're gonna try our best to continue the fight so we can keep going. And that's all I have.
Thanks so much. Is there someone from Chain Breakers?
Me, I'm Trinity. Yes, I'm going to be representing Chain Breakers today. So quickly, I'm one of the lead organizers of Chain Breakers, and we're trying to spread awareness towards political agendas that promote more harm than good when it comes to lack of police accountability and data transparency. So our question is, when you watch the news, who do you typically see arrested? It's probably typically people of color, and those are the people that fall victim to abusive authority from law enforcement. So we've created Chain Breakers, and we are a student action group incorporated in both the classroom as well as in student involvement on our campus. We've also have a vast connection of student networks and partner nonprofit organizations through NOISE, which I'm the founder of, which stands for Network of Organized Igniting Student Empowerment. And so pretty much lastly, our last partner is Decarcerate Memphis, and they actually really pioneered the push towards the agenda for police accountability in Memphis in the state of Tennessee, because we do live in Tennessee, which is a Republican supermajority state. And so you kind of can understand the political aspects of how policing is really taken seriously here. So to get more information about the issue, a major recurring trend in metropolitan cities is the abuse of authority by police officers who unjustly racially profile Black and Brown people. Specifically in Memphis, we have been targeted unconstitutionally from our state government, as well as, I guess, to provide justification for over-policing. We did have the death of Tyre Nichols, the tragic death of Tyre Nichols, as well as that was last year. And so since then, MPD, Memphis Police Department, has killed 52 people since January of 2023. And in 2024 alone, Tennessee State Police has already killed 9 people. And so we're already just finished month 4. And so to give more data about that, our target person was our Chief of Police, CJ Davis, because she pretty much didn't necessarily release a data dashboard, would provide more context on information about policing, why are you getting pulled over, statuses of the cops, as well as just situational public data that should be known to the public eye. And so our proposed solution was to push CJ Davis to release a data dashboard, which is a compilation of data officers that they were required to produce for the public use and the general public. Since Memphis is a predominantly Black community, we constantly do see the effect of police brutality in our city. And so it is just an iteration of the abuse of power. So we did have a kind of win. We did get an email from the city of Memphis. We've held an action like 2 weeks ago where a bunch of students came out and led an action to propose more data transparency at the intersection where Tyre Nichols was murdered. And the city of Memphis reached out and they told us that they are going to send out a data dashboard within the next couple of months, which is good. And then if you want to get more involved, you can sign up on our email list, as well as our weekly meetings on Thursday, and follow us on GroupMe and Instagram.
Thank you, Trinity. I thought just to, I wasn't thinking about showing this later, but I think I just show it really quickly now. This is what the press, this was from, it's on the website, so you can come back and look at it, but just, it's very short, it's 2 minutes long. This was on news a couple nights ago.
City ordinances put in place after the death of Tyre Nichols. They want Memphis police to release information related to traffic stops. The data transparency ordinance requires the Memphis Police Department to publish updated reports twice a year. It's supposed to list all pedestrian and traffic stop arrests, and any situation where force is used. Chain breakers say the webpage where the information is supposed to be listed has not been updated since the end of 2022 and does not show the names of arresting or transporting officers. The fully operational site was supposed to be ready last week.
It's been over a year since Tyre Nichols has passed, and enough is enough. It's time for CJ Davis and Memphis Police Department to release the data to the public eye, and we are going to take action in the inaction of MPD.
Chain breakers also wants the Tennessee State Legislature to address why the Tyre Nichols ordinance banning pretextual traffic stops was overturned. That press conference will be happening tonight at 6.
There you go. Congratulations. That was a great video clip for y'all.
Thank you.
Awesome. So next to speak is Kari from Rhodes College. Students demand action.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kari Silva. I am with Rhodes Students Demand Action, RSDA for short, and we are a new organization at Rhodes College. Our mission is that we demand Rhodes College to commit to fully divest from gun manufacturers and realtors and any college-related investment funds. In Memphis alone, in 2023, there was 301 people that were victims of gun violence in 2023. And one of our events, we held a flags for firearm mortalities. So we put up 301 flags within our Southwestern lawn, which has a lot of student traffic, and get students involved to know what RSDA is, and also what divestment is from and what it can do for the college. One of our targets is Kyle Webb, the VP of Finance. And we've been in contact with him the whole semester through during the whole class. And we were able to have a target meeting with him and to discuss what it would look like to get Rhodes College to divest. And we didn't get far, but we had a lot of good things said about like meeting with Partners Capital, which is their people who handle their funds and where they invest. And also being able to meet with the Board of Trustees in the fall to persuade them to divest in the gun industry entirely. So we also have a petition where students and faculty can sign saying that they don't want Rhodes College to invest in the gun industry, and that if they would like to help, they can sign up to help with the org as well. And we have an Instagram. It is it's Students Demand Action at Rhodes. And you can follow us there. We have our link tree there, which is to our GroupMe, Instagram, and also to the petition where students can sign it. And if you have any more questions, you can contact me or anyone else a part of the org. I'm also the president, so I answer almost all the questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kari. So now we're changing colleges, going to college in New Jersey, obviously in New Jersey. So next is Olivia from Round Out.
Hi, I'm Olivia, but it's a few of our members here today. It's Kiara and Karen right here, and then a few people in the background. Karen's gonna
So
speak.
our official name is Round
Thank
Out
you.
Carcinogens of TCNJ, and we're aiming to change TCNJ's land management processes to organic. So we want to rule out all harmful chemicals on campus. And we kind of got a start on this from Dr. Shackow's climate justice class. And it was a previous project done before, but it just started the foundation. So we kind of have been moving forward with it. Currently, with our 3 demands that we have is to launch our pilot program, which we've achieved in April of 2024, and to achieve 50% organically managed land by 2028, and to be 95% organically managed by 2030. We currently have 11 active campaign members, and we have met with our target, whose name is Sean Capilano-Sarver. He is the Associate VP of Facilities Management, and we've gained some support through him. He has been totally on board. He's very environmentally sustainable. We also have been tabling and gaining support from the student bodies, the staff and faculty. We currently have over 250 signatures from mostly students, but it also includes some staff and faculty members. And we continue to collaborate with other student organizations, such as the Environmental Club, and we also have an environmental sustainable council as well.
I just want to add too, I'll place in the comments on our Instagram as well as our petition that we do have, if anyone wants to feel free to support and fill it out for us, so we can show it to TCNJ. And then that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, we're going to University of East Anglia in England, and we're having Lauren and Rebecca. Thank you so much for staying up so late. And their group is called End Pollution, and I'll put up their information right now too.
Hi everyone. So I just want to extend the question. Do you think your rivers are clean? So I'm Rebecca and this is Lauren, and we're from University of East Anglia. Our name of our campaign is End Pollution, and we are partnered with the National River Charity River Action, which has done a lot of work improving river quality throughout the UK.
We conducted a river test and found the level of E. coli being expelled into the rivers was way too high, and it can cause illness and kill biodiversity, which is particularly bad as the rivers are used for water sports, and obviously the rivers in Norwich are chalk rivers, which, if you're unaware of what they are, there's only 200 in the UK, and no, there's only 200 in the world. 85% are in the UK, so they have the same amount of biodiversity as a rainforest, so it's super beneficial just in general.
So over our campaign period, we got hundreds of people to sign our petition, over 300, which we demanded councils to take accountability. We also hosted a hustings event, which had a great turnout. We're joined with a member of the Green Party, which is one of our main political parties in the UK. It was quite disappointing, however, that only one party attended, which was into like how little councils care about our environment. The hustings, however, was a successful event with loads of interaction with the public and with improved interest in our campaign, and it also grabbed some media attention.
On a larger scale, we aim to stop animal waste from being expelled into the rivers, but our specific campaign demands were for the City Council, for prospective councillors to sign the local river charter to revise the strategy they use in rivers, and if the councillors were elected, to use their powers to hold the local water companies accountable to improve the sewage system in general.
So we held a stunt on the boat with someone in a fish costume who was quite ironically named Turdy, with people from River Action testing the quality of the water, and the results were quite concerning and shocking.
While not being able to get involved directly, we think it's important for everyone to look into what's in the bodies of water that we use and what's expelled into them, especially with some around the corner. You can really think about like the sports you do, etc., on a personal scale, even if not about the biodiversity, because they're integral parts of the ecosystem regardless.
So you can follow our social media campaign profiles, which are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which are named End Pollution. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. I thought I'd just show they had a very short video that was also in the press. I thought just take a moment. You can go and watch it yourself, but it'd be fun, I think, just to watch it collectively and kind of see their amazing work. So this is it.
Meet Turdy the fish, who's been taken out by UEA students today on the River Wensum. They're campaigning against sewage in Norwich's river as discharges across the UK are on the rise.
We want the local prospective councillors to sign the River Action local charter, which is going to help keep our water a lot cleaner and help stop all the raw sewage that's coming into it. So poor Turdy has less to do.
According to the Environment Agency, the amount of sewage pumped into the UK's rivers and oceans rose by 50% 2023 to 2022. And here in Norwich, 4,500 hours of discharge were recorded by Surfers Against Sewage. We then got moving up the river to wave at the massing crowds and take a look at some of the drains leading into the river. Campaigners were joined by Chloe Peck from River Action UK, who was testing the river water for E. coli bacteria, aka poo.
So when we're finding E. coli, we're finding pollution, most likely from sewage. At the moment, I've been finding really high amounts of E. coli in rivers that I've been testing. So in order to have good bathing water status, you want less than 1,000 E. coli bacteria per 100 milliliter sample. What I'm finding is about 3 times that amount on average. At the worst, 10 times that amount.
After high rates of discharge in 2023, Anglian Water said they'd invest £10 billion in improving their infrastructure to try and meet demands to lower the amount of spills. Here, campaigners are hoping that politicians won't poo-poo the problem into the general election.
All right. Great job, you two and the group. Good stuff. Changing universities to the University of Michigan and John Kent with Save Transformative Food Systems Fellowship. So John.
Hello, everyone. As mentioned, I'm John Kent, and I'm a part of the Save the TFS campaign. TFS stands for Transformative Food Systems for short. To give you a little background, food systems today are categorized by numerous crises and inequities that are deepening rural and urban. Economic decline is disproportionately harming public health in communities of color and playing an outsized role in degrading the environment. Thus, we are trying to ensure the future students can contribute to help this issue by being funded through the TFS program. It's a unique program that supports myself and 11 other underrepresented students to pursue a master's program at U of M, essentially to go without major debt and ultimately transform the food system to become more equitable, health promoting, and ecologically resilient. So a part of our statement for past accomplishments, we have brought the U of alumnus, the Deputy Undersecretary from the USDA, Stacey Dean, to come out to a talk about racism and inequity as related to the USDA and what she is doing to help transform the food system. We've also created a branding and marketing campaign to bring attention to TFS that we plan on really pushing out this upcoming semester to kind of galvanize folks to want to help our cause to get funding for this program. Answering number 4. So we also have like information to tell folks about like, you know, did you know communities of color are disproportionately harmed by multiple health, economic, and environmental crises in the food systems? And also being that we're at an educational institution that costs a lot, you know, there's a staggering statistics that show that Black women are the most educated in our communities, well, the most educated community in the U.S., and subsequently the most indebted group from college loans in the country. So a proposed solution to help Save the TFS is trying to convince the university to permanently fund the TFS fellowship so that more first-generation underrepresented students can afford to study food systems at U of M, become the next generation of food system leaders. Doing things for the question number 6, ask them to do, so we're asking folks to like help us promote our video and spread the message of funding TFS, you know, asking folks to, you know, if they have any questions and want to reach out to us, you know, contact us at our email. So yeah, that's Save the TFS campaign.
Thanks so much, John. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then lastly, we have a high school, Bishop O'Dowd High School in Oakland. And that teacher went through the Summer Institute. He'd asked if he could do it as a high school teacher. Of course, we said that would be fine. And they have actually, there's another co-partner, Isabel, who he works with, talked to another high school teacher in Georgia, and they'll be going through the Summer Institute. So, you know, we're totally open to folks doing social action within high schools, and find it as an honor that Ariella is here to talk about her campaign, FEAR, Fentanyl Education, Action, and Reduction.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to start with a question. Have you taken or thought about taking drugs in the last month? Almost 12 million 18 to 25-year-olds have. Fentanyl overdose is currently the leading cause of death in ages 18 to 45. I'm Ariella Garfinkel, and my campaign group is FEAR, Fentanyl Education, Action, and Reduction. We're motivated to make changes regarding fentanyl education and access to safety resources at Bay Area schools, ultimately reducing overdoses. We aim to harness the effectiveness of peer-to-peer education to maximize its impact on our community. Our initial target was our administration at Bishop O'Dowd High School, more specifically Dr. Doug Evans, our principal, and Kim Walsh, our president. Upon learning of our intentions to educate our student body, the administration initially denied us permission, citing the topic's controversial nature. Instead of taking that as an answer, we persisted. Through multiple meetings with the principal, president, and other administrators, we emphasized the significance of this education, especially for our target audience, the student body. Gradually, the administration recognized the issue's importance and permitted us to proceed. Not only did they allow us to continue, but our associate principal now works alongside us, guiding us in our relationship with the administration and supporting our education. We currently have a strong relationship with Song for Charlie, a national nonprofit that's dedicated to raising awareness about fentanyl pills, fake pills made of fentanyl and other synthetic opioids. We've partnered with them to create a peer-to-peer education program. We provide advice on how to best communicate with our age group and are the leads on a new project they've created of resources provided to students so they can educate one another. We also present this curriculum at local high schools. We've done our high school and attended one other in the area and are planning to do a couple more before the end of the school year. Next week, we'll speak to around 800 students. We also work on their digital marketing with them and their social media presence. We also met with another one of our targets, Amy McNamara, the Deputy Superintendent of the Ocalanis Unified High School District, and we discussed how we can bring fentanyl education to AUHSD and began formulating a plan for peer-to-peer education in their high schools and continuation school. We have visited one of their high schools and look forward to continuing that relationship. In our previous presentations, we've educated our peers and their parents, trained their parents in Narcan distribution, and given out Narcan for free. If you want to get into contact with me or have questions, our email is fearbayarea@gmail.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, Ariella. And you should all go to their webpage and you can see Ariella speaking to the whole student body in one of those efforts to educate about fentanyl. So great work, and we're excited you're here, and she'll be joining us on a campus at UC Berkeley next semester. So that's exciting, right? They go to high school, we'll hopefully train them there, and then they can come in and do the work also in colleges. So great job. So there's a couple of students that, we didn't get information, but I just want to give them a chance if they wanted to say anything. Awesome. You're more than welcome to speak about your campaign. I know, Adam, we already talked. I got a message from your professor saying you should ask Adam. So I'll give you another chance. Do you want to say a few words about your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell them where you're from.
So I'm from Slippery Rock University, located in Pennsylvania, and my class, Civil Discourse, we had an opportunity to work on social action campaigns, and my group I'm representing them today. Their names are Abigail, Claire, and Noah. And we were able to kind of start a conversation around the housing crisis here at Slippery Rock University. We kind of came together on the general idea that we believe that everybody should have access to housing at a university that they already pay to attend, which is very much not the case at Slippery Rock right now. The main issue right now at Slippery Rock is that students are competing for housing, like I said, at the university that they already pay to attend. And this is an issue because Slippery Rock is implementing a policy that freshmen and sophomores have to live on campus, which isn't necessarily a rare policy to have, but Slippery Rock cannot support it. Our own chief of student affairs said in a recent interview with WXVI of Pittsburgh that we will be over 1 to 3% capacity in housing for students next year, which means that we cannot support the amount of students that they want to have living on campus, but these students are required to live on campus. So we saw that as an issue, obviously, because there are older students who are being forced off campus, being forced into unstable living conditions. And basically the only resources that the school is providing is a list of resources. We just wanted to start a conversation with people regarding the issue because not a lot of people were aware of what was going on behind the scenes. They knew that there was some instability on campus regarding housing, but just not how severe it was. We were able to kind of generate student engagement with this topic by a few posts on social media. One of the more common social media platforms here is called Fizz. It's a kind of a public app where people can speak their minds and people receive upvotes based on just if they kind of find the statement through sentiment. And we had 2,000 people respond and said that they felt that they were in an unstable living condition. These are 2,000 students at Slippery Rock that felt this was an issue. We did some research. I just got your question, how can others help? So we did research based on this, and one of the more direct routes to solving this issue is having a single person of contact, which is more of a community building aspect of this, so students can feel that they have somebody to reach out to. There's a lack of responsibility in terms of this issue. For example, my group reached out multiple times to the housing department and got no response in return. So that being said, the single person of contact method has been implemented at multiple universities, but only one in PA, that being West Chester. And it has been very successful in reducing housing instability because students feel that there is one person that they can contact, one person that they can go to with these resources. So there is no simple issue, and right now we are in kind of like the beginning stages of this. Like I said, we're starting a conversation, but there is hope, I want to say, and there's definitely student engagement with it. So that being said, we hope to continue with this, and thank you for hearing me out. I know it's a little last minute, but
Thank you, Adam. Instead of breaking up, because we're not that many people, just ask some questions from the faculty and staff of the students. I have a specific question I want to ask about what was their greatest learning experiences, but you might have some questions before I ask that. What, do you have any questions after you heard what they presented, specific questions about their campaign that you might want to ask?
This is Kate from Alabama, and I'd like to ask the students at what point, if any point, were they fearful, scared, concerned about any form of retaliation, keeping yourself off of social media, those kinds of things, and with the repercussions that that could be.
Anyone want to answer that?
Yeah, my students are always worrying about being doxxed. They had to educate me on what that meant, but so some don't want to be affiliated with the public display of the project, and then others want to be. And so I was just wondering if any of the students had experienced that within their group work or individually or whatever.
Trinity, go for it.
So I was fearful, like organizing around the Dead Tyree Nichols has been like a recurring thing in Memphis. But for the action specifically that we had on Thursday, some of the marshals that we had did say that there were some KKK threats for the upcoming action, and that because of the neighborhood that we had it in Hickory Hill, because we wanted to humanize his experience, they would threaten to pull up, but they didn't. But it's just kind of like that, like fearful, like empty threats, but it's not necessarily empty when it comes to policing and race relations in Tennessee, because it is a very much so segregated state, but also city in Memphis. So it's more of just like, at least for me personally, living as a Black person is always that kind of fight of like being fearful at a PWI institution, and then talking about these real world experiences that a lot of folks in our class either can or cannot relate to, which I thought was a really beautiful opportunity. People that couldn't relate to it kind of saw more of like humanistic perspectives of, instead of just like statistics of people dying and stuff like that. And then people that could relate to it, it kind of provided a space for lived experiences, but also like venting and healing and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. I'm just sorry. I have to say, Trinity, please, if you're interested, please reach out to me. My name is Cassandra Simon, csimon@ua.edu. I think we have some overlapping areas where we may be able to work together.
Yes, ma'am. I love that. Okay, thank you.
We have another question. How do you develop comfort in delivering your organizational rap from Dr. Miriam Shakau. Any about that? Did it get better?
I can kind of speak on that. So it kind of just like doing it more often. I think starting small with a small group of people. I know that I started with my roommate, for example, just kind of talking to him and then just branching out from there and eventually being able to speak to my peers about it. And yeah, so and now you guys.
Awesome.
I could also speak to that. In my class, we do student intros. So we start with a minute of reflection, and then we're talking about updates. And then whoever's leading at the end of it, we do our organizational wrap every time we lead our student introductions. So I was starting with a group of my peers who were also all doing the same thing, and then we'd give each other feedback. So it was starting with a smaller group who understood what was being done, and then receiving feedback, I think, was really helpful.
Awesome.
Ariella, I'm sorry, y'all. I know I said I would be quiet, but it's just hard for me when I'm with a group of people who care about these things. Ariella, what state are you in again? Are you in an anti-DEI legislation state?
I'm in California. I'm in the Bay Area.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I would wonder how difficult it might be to connect with high school people when you have anti-DEI legislation in your state. Thank you. I think what you're doing is awesome. And I'm gonna try
Awesome.
really hard to be quiet, y'all.
It's all good. We have another one from Amtala. Said, what has been the faculty's experience teaching this for the first time? And even this, Austin's now a second timer, and Miriam's like a seventh timer. So we've had some people, but most of the people in this, work are doing it really for the first or second times. And some of you on the call are going to be doing it, you're going to be learning at the Institute that's coming up. So Austin, you want to say something, or you're a two-timer now?
Yeah, I feel like more accurately, I'm a 1.5 timer, because I think the first time I did it, I tried to integrate it into an introduction class, urban politics and policy at Rhodes. It was a 200 level course, and I tried to bring in some aspects of the social action work and the textbook and the guide that Scott's created. But I did it in a way where Tuesday we would have more of a seminar style class talking about, the literature around urban politics, and then the campaign was on Thursday, and that didn't really work as well. I think this time around it was a lot more closely tied to Scott's syllabus and the textbook itself that goes with it. But to be honest, the students can talk about this some too. I'd be interested to hear their thoughts. But kind of halfway through, we realized that the full SML model wasn't really working for us. So we decided one class when things were, we felt like things were getting in the way of really getting done. We didn't have a lot of time for the campaign. We decided to make some very small changes. We still used the textbook, and we'd still already kind of built a lot of the campaigns at that point. But we just decided to kind of pivot a little. Kadi or Trinity, I don't know if y'all want to speak a little bit to that.
I want to speak on this.
Go ahead, Kadi, go ahead.
I guess because every student's differently, but when you're in a class that it is involved with social action, of course, you just want to get into social action immediately. But we do understand that some of us, like for me personally, I was a first timer at this, and I just wanted to jump in, but I did realize that I did have to learn through the change book and gain that knowledge. So I believe the first 3 weeks or 4, depending on how the classes are structured, should be based on learning the stuff. And also, if it's a Tuesday, Thursday class, the first 3 weeks of the Tuesday, Thursday class should be learning it, and then transitioning into a day of lecture and then a day of social action work. And it kind of worked out well for us because we were able to get the ball rolling further and further. And of course, every class is a learning process. So next year, when Kerrison continues this, we have learned just having more of these orgs created and learning this process and it changing can really help students out when creating social action organizations.
Awesome. Anyone else want to respond to that?
Sure, I'm happy to share. This was my first time doing the social action model. And Well, first of all, I did not use the change book, and I will actually change to the change book next time because I think it's very helpful and it provides a better structure for a class that's focused on social action. The other thing is I didn't gauge the time properly. So I think we spent some time getting to know each other in the beginning and figuring out the issues, and maybe I should have given less time to that. So there will be a lot of tweaks and changes next semester in my syllabus, but also the textbook. And also I wasn't sure how the students would react. You know, I was gauging students' interest and appreciation for social action. And I was really pleasantly surprised that students really enjoyed it and really responded very positively to it. I was very, very surprised in a lot of ways. It was a wonderful experience, but there's definitely a lot of tweaking for next time.
I'll just add that as a faculty member, having taught it many times, each time I'm tweaking, honestly, and this was something I said in the chat in response, I think, to Mattel, is just, I think if you feel like it's really important to offer this like opportunity to learn to students, I've had to kind of just be like, look, to myself, I know I'm not doing it as well ever as I want to be doing it, but no one else is teaching this on my campus, and otherwise students aren't going to get the opportunity. And so I just kind of have to do the best I can. And I've been kind of shocked at how like each time, every single, I have developed some systems, and I'm happy for those who haven't taught before, I can share. I've for example, now I have like a ton of little assignments. Every week, students have to document that they met with their campaign group outside of class. It does get very cumbersome for me and the students, but I have some things that work better than not doing it that way. But because it's a new situation on campus and in the world, there's some degree of unpredictability, and there's always some things that work well and some things that don't work well. And it seems to be different things each semester. But I think if you feel like this is essential learning opportunity for students, then I think you're just, okay, I'm just going to do the best I can. That's been what I've kind of come to.
And I think that your comment, Miriam, in the chat is like how I feel too. I've done it. I did it 30 times over those 20 plus years. And what kept me going was that every time it would be different and it would be exciting. I was always amazed that the students could even get into a group, 4 or 5 campaigns, kind of magically as we take them through the process, that they're in groups and then they're creating flyers and developing organizational wraps, and all that's happening outside of us as faculty. They're doing it, and they're putting their passion. So I just think that's the transformative part, and which makes it interesting and keeps me still interested in this educational process. Austin, you want to say something about going full SML, because they've asked about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just what I jokingly call very closely adhering to the book and teaching it in the same sequence, and really taking your syllabus and building from that directly. So that's
Gotcha. I wanted to ask one question of you and then go to Trinity. Is that you said, because when I saw you last time, you're like, oh, I'm going full SML. That's what my students would call me, SML, Scott Myers-Lipton. So Austin said that to me. But I'm hearing you now saying, now you're going full Austin. So same.
well, no, I would say full Rhodes College. I think we just kind of made it fit better for kind of met our students where they're at. And it really wasn't tweaking much. The big things we did is we focused on the campaign even in the second part, because we really made this switch around spring break or right before spring break. So I think it was either right before or after we had the Institute in Memphis. I think it might have been right after that we switched it. But yeah, we had this discussion right after that. And so all that really did is we just took less of the second half, where you kind of talk more about case studies and more about, different movements. It's kind of framed around the Economic Bill of Rights. And so instead we reviewed different aspects of the campaigns that related to things that were issues that campaigns were facing. So we went back and covered some things like group dynamics, action planning, kickoff planning, some of the things that were needed in those sort of mini lecture. We did Tuesday mini lecture, and then we actually had more staff meeting. I think, Trinity, do you want to talk a little bit about that? We kind of made some of a network model because we had 3 campaigns, and one of our campaigns decided they didn't want to continue. And so they became what we kind of called floaters, and we adopted kind of the noise model. Trinity, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so the noise model, as I mentioned earlier, it's more of students and nonprofits working together. And so for this initiative, we have point people and then we have floaters. We either had 2 or 3 point people depending on the campaigns. I know RSD had 3 and then Chainbreakers had 2. And in the rest of the class, I think we probably had like 15 people in the class total. So probably 8 people were floating between both campaigns. So I know for the Chainbreaker side, our demands kept changing. Our demands changed 3 times because of like Tennessee legislature. We had bills overturned and passed and all that stuff. So it kind of messed up our who we were targeting. But RSDA's momentum was much more consistent than ours. So it goes back to that point of how do you manage a campaign's durability based off of social issues and how to make sure people power is dedicated where it's most needed at the certain points of time within the class. But then also you have to account for students' different backgrounds in organizing. I'm a trained organizer, and I've been organizing for 2 years, but other students, like Kadi said earlier, have never done any kind of organizing at all. The most they've probably done is probably their school, high school clubs or stuff like that. Not even that. So there's been a big drastic, how do you account for the baseline of explaining community organizing, what that looks like, student action and stuff like that. So like the first couple of weeks, you really need to gauge where your students are and how to apply the framework of the book to that. If you kind of see you have students who are up in there and they know what they're talking about, then you don't really need to be that close to the book. But when it comes to case studies and specific examples, that's always really helpful. But yeah, that's how we adapted. We switched to people focusing on the campaigns, the point people, and then the floaters helping out where it's needed.
Awesome. I was wondering, Ben, because you've been involved in the work, Ben's over in England, and he's been teaching about social action. And I think, I'm not sure if I think you used the book or you read the book. What did you add to this conversation?
Yeah, I was just trying to sort of find the words when it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, yeah, I've been thinking about this as I'm listening because obviously, I've been doing this since 2008. I've done it every year since 2008 with groups from sort of 300 students down to, I think this is one of the smallest groups I've had. It's like 24. And I've tried all different sorts of models from students like choosing their own issues and campaigns, giving them broad themes. And then from about 2014, I sort of settled on getting an external organization to come in with an issue that's relevant to students, set them a brief, but then giving the students the freedom to respond to that brief in different ways. And as I've done that, I've dropped all the structure except for that. So this year I had no lectures at all. There's no lectures. It was all like, here is the issue. All the emphasis in classroom time, and we have a whole day together every week, was about building trust in the group. So we go into a structure every week, which was about trust building and sharing ideas and enthusiasms, passions, and all of that. And then I'm working with third years, so I'm like, they know how to do research now. They know how to do research to a standard which will be adequate for the campaign. And so the first 6 weeks, they're doing their research, they're understanding an issue, they're understanding each other, and then they come with ideas about campaigning, about the sort of campaign they could do to the external organization and to me and a couple of other faculty members. And out of that, we sort of bring all those ideas together and we give them a campaign, and then that campaign rolls from there, and then they just go and do it. So what it is it's just scaffolding. I mean, I don't give them readings either anymore. They're just distracting. Like, if you give sort of general readings, I used to do like lectures on community organizing, Solinsky, all that sort of stuff. But actually, if it's not directly relevant to how they want to respond to the issue, it can be distracting. So now, and Rebecca and Lauren are about to find this out tomorrow, they get given a bunch of readings at the end. So they can go back and they can look at what they've done and they can see how that relates to like what other people have done previously. But there's no right way of doing it, right? It's what fits, what's most comfortable in the classroom, like how you can build, it's confidence more than anything else, right? That's the hardest thing. It's feeling like, you have agency, you can go into the world and you can see an issue and you can address it, and your actions collectively can make a difference, and you can build alliances and develop community. But really, I think where I've landed to after like 15 years, 16 years, is that the most important thing is trust in the group, it's trust in the classroom. And if you have the trust and then you build the confidence, then they can do whatever they set their minds to. But it's that really seems to be the most important.
That's beautifully said. Thank you so much for that. I just wanted to bring in, that was awesome, is bring in Cheyenne, because, just so you all see this, Cheyenne at the West Virginia University, these 4 campaigns were her class. They just are all out working, as many college students have to work, so they couldn't present. So when you get a chance, go through those. And as you see it, what we try to do is on all of these demands are clearly, stated targets. Here's a winning a campaign, their flyers and their photos and so forth. So Cheyenne, I'm not sure, you went through the Institute, recently, and now you're teaching, and you I remember now it's coming back, I think it was like the winter, and then you changed your class to teach it in that coming spring. So maybe you could just say a little bit about what the experience has been like for you, because, and just so you know, there's a bunch of other faculty on this, like Michael and others, that are about to do what you just did, are going to go through the Institute and then turn around and teach.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for the time. And I'll try to make it somewhat direct and brief because it's late for some and very late for a few. So I'm at West Virginia University. I'm in a department of leadership studies. So it's all about creating change. And I've done kind of change projects in previous semesters, but this year I went through the Institute in winter and immediately integrated this framework for this class, which meant, like Ben said, gutting a lot of readings that were just kind of distracting, keeping some that I thought could relate. I had 4 groups, 4 campaigns. They were accessibility awareness, which was working with students who receive accessibility services on campus, but helping to kind of like increase and make them more robust. I'm in West Virginia, by the way. So Cassandra's point, in a anti-DEI state, we had a group that was working on decriminalization of marijuana, and they worked with delegates and a very small minority of Democratic aligned legislators who were trying to put forth a marijuana legalization, but also decriminalization law in a majority conservative state. I had a group work with kind of environmental cleanliness in like the learning environment. And then finally, a group on financial literacy. So I would say that there were wins, kind of small wins within each of those campaigns. But for the most part, it was incredible to see students do things they've never done before. Contact delegates, meet with professionals, secure meetings and demands with folks they would never have previously interacted with. And I had a student in her final presentation kind of share how she started crying after a call because she couldn't believe the office was actually going to adopt the changes that they recommended. Like, for the first time, she recognized, as a student, I matter here and I have a voice. And I think that was kind of consistent throughout all of the campaign presentations, is recognizing, to Ben's point, agency, feeling confident in being able to ask folks that they had not had any connection with, to let them know I'm visible, I'm here are some things that would make this better, not as an adversary, but as like a collective. And so I just jumped in and adopted the changes immediately, which led me to rely heavily on the SML model. And it worked for us. I'm sure I'll make tweaks for next fall, but I was very happy with how it went.
Thank you for that. Maybe as we get close to the end, just to hear from the students one more time, like if you had to say, like, what was the most important experience or the lesson learned from being in a class that, what we try to say is it's a transformative class, and just to hear from you about what was that experience like than just being in a lecture class like so many of others of those classes that you have. This class was trying to be different, and just want to hear from you. Was it, and what was the kind of the best or the most important lesson you're going to take away? And anyone, I don't know if you have a little, you can go on your thing and hit, if hand up, or if you put your hand up, I'll see you. Anyone want to respond to that? Go, Ariella.
I would say that to not give up, even when you're not like receiving responses from people. Like, I think my group really learned that. Like, even we sent 1 million emails to 1 million people, and half of them don't respond, majority of them don't respond, or even when you start talking to them, then they don't respond. So we learned like to send follow-up emails to like be like, we're moving this to the top of your inbox, because everyone's inbox is flooded all day long. and to just like not give up even when you feel like you've hit like a road, that block.
Yeah, never give up. And then sometimes in class, I'd say, just go right now. Just go talk to that person, whoever they need to talk to. Our city hall is across the way. So if you need to talk to a city, just leave and go talk to them now. But like, be persistent, very key. Anyone else? Lauren, Rebecca from England, you want to say anything? You're so kind to stay up so late. We're so grateful for that. But what did you learn? Most important lesson you learned?
Probably.
It's okay, sweetie. Oh, little guy. It's okay, honey.
Whitney, on mute. Go.
Yeah, probably just the fact that you can achieve what you set out to do, even if it seems kind of unattainable, like all the methods of being able to cause change, like how, just basically just how, not like easy it is, but it's within your
Reach,
capabilities,
Gotcha. Did you want to add?
Yeah, just to add as well, like the style of teaching as well was so different to any other module that I've had like at university, and it's been so beneficial for what I want to do as a career post university. So getting contact with people and like configuring like all these different ways and just like making something that's actually achievable and getting out there. Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else? Trinity, go. Yeah, I see. Kari, go.
Trinity, do you want to go first or me? Okay. I think like one thing I've kind of learned was I kind of gained a little more confidence, like to be more socially active, like within like the community in Memphis and Tennessee. And that when I go back like to my hometown, that I could do something there. And also there is a fair line between professionalism and unprofessionalism in social action. And sometimes you're gonna have to step into the unprofessional area to, and when I say unprofessional, I mean like not using the language of like when talking to professionals, like or like people within your academic field. It's like using that like nice words, like of course do not curse at someone, but just being like, what's wrong with you? Like this is a serious issue, but also know where you need to be someone with character and to be like professional. That's what I kind of learned. And we have seen sometimes where I was a little unprofessional and I learned that the hard way.
Awesome. Thank you, Kari. Trinity.
I thought that like the class kind of provided like, well, kind of back to that point of like being an organizer and like kind of not other students organizing on campus. It kind of felt good to like feel like I'm waking up, going to class, and then being able to organize versus having to go through a whole day of classes and then organize, or like having to add it in between. So it was really helpful to like combine that. And it provided a space for more than just students, because we've had students go to Decarcerate Memphis meetings, which is a nonprofit out here that helped us with our campaign, and vice versa. Decarcerate members came to the classroom. So I think this classroom's like biggest overall takeaway is erasing that kind of barrier between academia and activism, because it's kind of like there's like, oh, academia doesn't want to lean too far into that, or like activism is too unprofessional, like Kari was saying. So the class was a really good melting pot of like connecting those social spheres and getting a good production of results.
Awesome. So there's a few people that haven't spoken. I just want to make sure I give you a chance before we close, that I see your names and I see your faces, like, Eric, good to see you again, brother. People that I've connected at institutes, and Beth and others who are going to go through the institutes, just to give you a chance, and Travis and Russ, who went through one, and Fiona, who's offline. But, do you have any comments or thoughts that you want to say to the students, or questions for them, or comments, or about your own experience?
Scott, is it okay if I chime in?
Jump.
Yes, so I've been a little quiet, but I've been listening because I played both roles, as both as faculty and staff, and as a student as well. So currently I'm at DePaul University in Chicago as a PhD student. I'm a PhD candidate, but I have had the pleasure of designing, curating a first of its kind social action course internationally at a university in Pakistan. And I know somebody here spoke, forgive me for forgetting the name, from England. And a lot of what you said resonated with me, in the sense, like, for example, you talked about building on from action plan, and then empowerment, and then even throwing out some readings. And that's something that I realized I had to do. So going from the US to a country like Pakistan, and then curating and build, and the main reason I was asked to come was to design a course. And what I was doing, of course, the stupid Western or superior or super like, the first world country mentality, and I'm taking all these US readings to a country like Pakistan, and the students are like looking like blank, like, how is this relevant? And that's when it would hit me. I was like, no, duh, the readings don't match with the practical side and the context of the culture and the traditions. And that's where I had to throw out everything that I knew, relearn, and be in the community, like literally roll up my sleeves, and then from scratch made a whole course. And the course was around civic engagement and global citizenship education. And then in my third year of teaching that class, another student challenged me, and I was like, another one of those aha moments. And his question was, he was like, ma'am, why are we learning about global citizen education when people in our own street need our attention? So, like, the action of doing something at home. And I was like, he's right. Again, that whole aspect of knowing your local and this, and that was one of those aha moments of me, that here we are teaching, connecting dots from this country to that country, from that community, when sometimes we ignore the local demands and the culture. And a lot of it was, well, most of my students loved the readings, they enjoyed it, but that was it. It was more like a bedtime story for them, but not something that could be implemented theory-wise. So there was a lot of, in fact, I felt like I was learning more than they were. So, but the most effective course or time, what I thought, was a summer semester, because in the summer semester, I made the requirement that was the only course that the students could take. And for 12 summer weeks, we were together. And I broke down the course into 3 parts. The first part was the theory part of, we were in the classroom doing build activities, know yourself better, those trust exercises, building a tower with spaghetti and straws and things like that, all those fun activities. So there's fun and games involved. Then the second of the third part was at a local school. They were asked to design courses or teach. They were asked to design lessons and teach the lessons with elementary students at a local school that was based in a village in Lahore. And Lahore's dynamics are way different than the other city dynamics. So they got that local experience interacting with youngers. And then not only just making a syllabus, but, getting down and laughing and building a social interaction. Then finally, the third portion was 10 days. We traveled as a group, 23 hours in a little minivan, in a car, and into the mountains, into the remote areas. And then once you got there was no hot water. Some days that kind of struggles. That's when the real aspect came out. Like literally there was fights between each other. There was like different dynamics, and then the aha moment when they see how the locals are living, and then feel that feeling of shame that here we are arguing because we're not getting hot water, whereas there's some students that will walk 5 miles just to get an education in the mountains, and like all these families inviting to their little homes, and they see they hardly have any like food, but yet they are so hospitable. So then that sense of humility, then those lessons started playing in. So what the previous someone who had said that how sometimes we actually throw theory out. And that was one of the lessons that I learned in this. And then my perspective changed, becoming as a PhD student, now making theory out of something that I saw in practical. So, I mean, that's why I just like observing and listening to all the students' ideas. And I was like really applauding, because it behind the scene, it takes a lot. takes a lot of energy, humility, morals, and like, sometimes you have to unlearn and learn.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much for that. So I wanted to say, as we wrap up, is that Russ's question is, can you imagine doing this without a community? I'm not sure if that was a question or a statement. Luckily, we have a community. We'll get together and again in the fall. So for the ones that are going to be going through the Institute in the summer, we have, just so you know, and you can see them now online. If you go to our updated website, you can actually see all the professors. There's 42, I think, that are accepted into the fall. We have 27 accepted for the University of Michigan, coming back with Leslie and Arun to be there. So we have 27 faculty there. And then the National Society, Sustainability Society, will do a pre-conference and do an institute, and they have over 1,000 people coming to that. So we're hoping we get 20 to 30. So if any of you are involved in conferences, please think about maybe doing a pre-conference. That's a way. Padua is also doing, Slippery Rock will be doing an institute for the Pennsylvania public schools at the end of October, and we're planning for that. So, and Cassie and I are brainstorming about Alabama. So if that's something, of course, Austin will come back to Memphis and do it back in the South again. And then Jason, so some of you know, like I'm thinking, Eric, you were there, and Austin. Jason is thinking at Rollins College doing one there. So we're going to continue to educate and continue to come together. Really, it'll be up to us to kind of figure out, at some point, we're going to pull everyone together for the people who are really interested in this, to sit down and talk about how to take it to that next level, we have an amazing turnout tonight, but how do we get hundreds and thousands of faculty involved? That's how Bobby and I are thinking, and we're trying to figure that out. And to make that happen, it'll really be because of you all helping us, really doing it and figuring it out. So we're thinking about maybe next summer doing a gathering of the faculty and staff. And for the students, thank you so much for giving us your wisdom tonight. It's really about celebrating you and all that you did for the community. I always say to my students, we're in desperate need of young people who care about the world. So thank you. I'm sure I'm speaking for all the faculty and the staff. Thank you for your work on this. And hopefully, I always tell my students, I'm not training community organizers, even though 10% or 20%, like 4 or 5 will become community organizers. I'm training, democratic participants for a lifetime. And I hope that this has got you wanting to stay engaged for the rest of your life, no matter what the issue is. So with that, I think, anyone has any last words they want to say before we end?
Scott, I think Adam wanted to say something earlier. I saw your hand up. Did you want to say something, Adam?
Yeah, I think it was in response to you asking just like what we learned from it, but I'll keep it short. I think something my campaign experienced a lot was like unresponsiveness from people who really should have been responding to the situation. So we saw that more as like, even though there was a lack of response in a lot of areas, we took that as a response. So I think what I learned was not to get discouraged when people are ignoring you. So, but yeah, that was it.
Well, it's a good way to end, is that, you have to be persistent no matter what. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, all the students. Thank you, Ariella, from your high school. We appreciate you. Thank you, faculty. And, as we get off, I think if you can just for the faculty and staff, let people know about our upcoming institutes, that would be awesome. And, as I always say, like I'm thinking of the ones like Faru, who's at Slippery Rock. Hopefully we'll get more by doing the institute there to get more faculty, because unless you're teaching it every semester like I did, you have to have other faculty teaching it to keep it going. So I'm thinking of you, Leslie. Hopefully we can develop some folks, 4 or 5 faculty at Michigan. There's hopefully a core group at Michigan we can get, and Austin, I'm thinking of you. You're the only one right now. Cassie too. Hopefully we can develop that. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for your time. You were awesome. Bye, Trinity. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.